Alright, so this one's going to be a quick G major triad thing. So we're going to be on the second, third, and fourth strings. So your B, G, and D. Except for that last one, it's going to be on the first, second, third strings for G major triad up there. So this first one is a root inversion. So that just means that the root note of the chord is first, and then it's the third, and then it's the fifth. So root, third, fifth. So G, B, and D. So that's on the... My ring finger is the 5th fret of the D. My middle finger is the 4th fret of the G. My index finger is the 3rd fret of the 2nd string B. And to kind of fancy that up, it's just a little strum. And then you move down 1 fret, so you slide up back into it. And then a little up down at the end. And then from there, we're going to go to a first inversion, G major. So that's going to be, my index finger is going to be the 7th fret of the G, my middle finger is going to be the 8th fret of the B, and my ring finger is going to be the 9th fret of the D. So it's going to be the same thing. Strum the chord, go down a fret, slide up that fret back into it with an up-down strum. And what's nice about this being on those strings is you get to practice muting the other strings you don't want to hear. So instead of it being... I'm muting the low E with my thumb over the top there. And my, like the very top part of my ring finger is actually muting the A string. So that's the E and A. And then this part of my index and then part of my middle finger too is muting that high E. So it's not that I'm not strumming those strings, I'm just muting them so they don't ring out and you get that wonderful mysterious chord sound. And then the next one would be our second inversion, G major. So that is the 12th fret of the B, G, and D strings. And it's kind of the same thing. My thumb's muting that low E. This part of these fingers is muting the high E, and then the top of my ring finger is muting the A. So that, so far, depends on how, I guess, easy it is. Because you can start off doing each of those triad inversions a few times before moving to the next. So... first. once that's kind of easy, you just don't stay on the chord for as long. So and then you would really just do each chord inversion one time. So and then at the end, it's another G major inversion, but it's a first inversion on the E, B, and G strings. So it's the 15th fret of the E and the B, which I'm doing with my index finger. And then my middle finger is getting the 16th fret of the G. And then the strumming is down, up, down, up. Yes, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I don't really think of that in terms of like a down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's more like diddle diddle da in my head there. And then a slide down. So that whole thing with the root inversion G major on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. First inversion on those same strings. Second inversion, same strings. And the last one. First inversion just on different strings, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd string. And that different strumming. But only on those higher strings. With the slide at the end. And all those inversions, they start, because it's all patterns. I probably say that a lot, and everybody probably says that a lot, but you do start to recognize them. So if you're working through this and you think like, well, that's crazy, well, the easiest one's going to be that second inversion up here. Because technically that A major chord that you learn down there on the 2nd fret, you're strumming an open A string and an open E string in it, but what you're fretting is a second inversion type of chord. So then you move that up here. It's easier to fret with one finger as you move it around. But that's just this chord shape. So you already know this one. You're just playing it in a spot that might not be so familiar. And then it's like when you're learning like your first kind of F chord. So your index finger's across the 1st fret of the 2 E and B strings. Middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the G, and your ring finger is on the 3rd fret of the D. You play that. If you forgot about the E string and you just played this, so that's your F major right there. You slide that up 2 frets, you're playing a G chord. So that's another one that you probably already know. You just haven't used it in that spot, so you might think it's a different chord, but it's the same shape. And then this one, that first inversion is, if you take like your A minor chord, you take your ring finger off, you get that A minor 7. It's the same thing, just you're moving that shape up here. And because you don't have that specific chord place with the open string, you just have to make up for it and fret that note. So these things, you know, and then even up here, this one, you know, like you look back on that F major chord, one of the first ones you probably learned was index finger covering both strings on that first fret, middle finger, second fret on that third string. You're just doing that all the way up on the 15th fret and the 16th fret. So you have seen those shapes before and you've probably played them, but just not in this context. So you'll see it and think like, well, that's like something new and crazy, but it's not. Cool. So yeah, that's some G major fun. You enjoy.